10 hours on a motorbike, starting at 4 a.m., through heavy rain and freezing wind, just for this moment. Me and my little dog Dalat officially made it to Dalat. Want to see how a tiny dog survived a 300-kilometer road trip? Watch until the end.
Yeah.
It's nearly 4 in the morning. The whole city is still fast asleep, but my journey to Dalat is officially starting right now. Because we're leaving so early and heading straight up to the cold mountains, I'm wearing 3 layers of clothes: a basic t-shirt, a bright yellow jacket, and a thin linen shirt over it. I put on my mask, helmet, and shoes, getting fully ready for the long road ahead. Then, I gently put Dalat inside her travel bag and put her over my shoulder. Carrying our small backpack, we walked out into the quiet hallway, took the elevator down to the basement, and unlocked my motorbike. While everyone is still warm in bed, we're heading out into the dark. 300 kilometers ahead. Let's go! Stepping out into the hallway at 4 in the morning, the complete silence hits you. Looking at the long, empty corridor with every door closed, I couldn't help but think about my life. While everyone behind those doors is resting, feeling safe with their stable jobs and routines, here I am, jobless, carrying my dog in a bag, and heading out into the dark. Inside the quiet elevator going down, looking at my reflection in the mirror, I felt a mix of fear and excitement. But you know what? Staying in my room overthinking was slowly crushing me. Even with a small budget and an uncertain future, taking this leap onto the road feels like the only way to heal my soul right now. Sitting on the back of the bike, I turned the camera to capture this peaceful moment. Right in the middle of the seat, little Dalat was tucked safely inside her bag. I unzipped it just enough for her head to pop out. She was so curious, sniffing the fresh morning air and taking in everything around us. Seeing her tiny nose twitching and her big eyes watching the road made my heart feel so light. We don't have much, but having her right here with me makes this whole uncertain journey feel a lot less lonely. As soon as we left the apartment complex, reality hit us right away. The road was full of deep potholes and red mud filled with water from last night's heavy rain. Sitting on the back of the bike, we were bouncing up and down through every splash. Looking around in the early dark, there were only a few cars, a couple of motorbikes, and just a few grocery stores starting to open their doors. It's bumpy, it's messy, but somehow, seeing the city slowly wake up made me feel so alive. Every bump on this muddy road reminds me that progress isn't always smooth, but as long as we keep moving, we'll get there. As we hit the main road, the sky was still pitch black, but the street was already alive with working people. I saw a husband driving a cart full of fresh vegetables, while his wife sat in the back, softly sleeping against the bags. It was such a sweet and precious moment of love and hard work. Further down, a woman was balancing huge delivery boxes on her motorbike, and a man was riding a 3-wheeler loaded with sugarcane for his juice stall. I even passed early traffic police officers and everyday workers rushing into the dark morning. Seeing everyone working so hard for their families makes my own struggles feel smaller. It reminds me that life goes on, and we all just have to keep pushing forward. Because today is Sunday, as we rode further out, I noticed many churches lined up along the road. Even so early in the morning, local people were already dressed up and walking together to attend early service. There was such a peaceful, spiritual calm in the morning air. Leaving the town behind, the scenery slowly shifted as endless rubber tree forests appeared on both sides of the road. Riding under the tall green canopy, with the cool breeze brushing against my face, everything suddenly felt so quiet and still. Moments like this make me forget all the stress back in the city. Nature has its own gentle way of reminding us to just slow down and breathe. Looking down, I saw Dalat still sticking her head out, restfully leaning on my lap while watching the road go by. The wind was blowing pretty hard directly at her face, making her eyes squint, but she refused to hide inside, haha. It was just past 5 in the morning, so there was no sunlight yet, just the dark green of the rubber forest. Thanks to last night's rain, the air on this road was deeply chilly and fresh. Feeling that cool breeze on my skin while having her warm little head on my lap, it was such a simple, beautiful moment of peace. Riding through this endless green tunnel of rubber trees, I felt a deep sense of peace. In the quiet morning cold, away from all the city noise, my mind finally stopped racing. But after hours of riding, my lower back and legs were completely numb. Haha! So we decided to pull over onto a small trail right next to the forest to stretch a bit. I unzipped the bag and let Dula out so she could stretch her little paws too. The red dirt trail was super muddy and wet from last night's rain. Fearing that sticky red mud would ruin my sandals, I just ended up pacing back and forth on the edge of the paved road while watching Dula enjoy the fresh air. Simple moments like this, they really make all the numbness worth it. So there we were, just pacing back and forth on that small strip of dry asphalt, me in my sandals, carefully avoiding the wet red mud, and Dula sniffing around every little leaf. Looking at her happily wandering near the rubber trees, I couldn't help but reflect on my life. Losing my job meant losing my sense of direction. For weeks, I stayed indoors, staring at the ceiling, feeling overwhelmed by bills and an uncertain future. Leaving HCM City with almost no money felt reckless, but standing here in this cool, fresh air, watching Dula explore, I realized I didn't need a lavish trip to heal. Just moving forward, one small step at a time on this quiet road, is enough to remind me that I am still alive and strong. After riding a bit further through the forest, I noticed something interesting. This part of the rubber farm was actively being harvested. Every single tree trunk had a small bowl attached to it, so I decided to pull over right away. I walked up to one tree and lifted the small cover over the bowl. The milky white latex drips down from the spiral cuts on the bark, drying up into a soft, solid cup shape. I picked one up to feel it. It was pure white, super stretchy, but had this hilarious, slightly smelly odor. Haha! Not too far away, I could see local workers quietly collecting the latex. Seeing how nature provides a living for these hardworking people, right here in the peaceful woods, made me appreciate this spontaneous journey even more. Riding a bit further, we finally reached the foot of Langa Bridge. Looking down from above, I saw dozens of floating houseboats resting gently on the calm river. It felt so magical and fascinating. Seeing how people build their whole lives on the water, with little boats tied to their floating homes, gave me such a unique sense of peace. Standing there with the cool river breeze in my hair, watching life flow so quietly on the river, I felt my heart open up. Life doesn't always have to be anchored in one place to be beautiful. Sometimes, learning to float along with the waves is how we find our true inner calm. Riding a little further, we arrived at a famous landmark called Daba Chong, the 3 stacked stones. I just had to pull over to admire it and film a little bit. Looking up, I was completely amazed by 3 massive boulders balancing precariously right on top of each other, standing tall by the roadside. It almost feels like a miracle of nature. Standing next to these giant stones made me feel so tiny. It reminded me that nature has its own way of standing strong through storms and time. Maybe, no matter how heavy life feels right now, we can also find our own way to stay balanced and firm. Riding a bit further, my lower back and hips were so sore that I simply couldn't take it anymore. So I pulled over at a roadside hammock coffee shop. I climbed right onto a comfy hammock to relax. Little Dula chose to lie directly under my hammock on the cool tile floor. Even though it was a bit dusty, we both fell asleep for about 30 minutes, getting some much-needed rest. After waking up, since I didn't bring her water bowl, I improvised by pouring bottled water into a clear plastic bag for her to drink. She lapped it up happily. After a quick bathroom break, we felt refreshed and ready to hit the road again. Riding further, we finally reached the foot of Bao Loc Pass. As we started climbing, thick fog completely wrapped around us, making the air bitterly cold. Huge trucks and buses were roaring past us on the narrow, winding roads. On one side were steep cliffs covered in giant green trees, with small streams trickling down the rocks. It was both scary and breathtakingly beautiful. And just as we reached the very top of the pass, the sky opened up into a gentle, freezing drizzle. The rain hit my face, but looking down at the mist covering the mountain valleys, I just smiled. We made it through the hardest part. Right as we finished the pass, there was a memorial monument on the side of the road. I pulled over, seeing many other travelers stopping there too under the soft drizzle. I pulled out my raincoat to put it on. Since the ground was wet from the rain, little Dalat refused to let her paws touch the floor. She just stood right on top of my feet, ha ha. Once I strapped on my helmet, I put her back into her bag and lifted my little princess onto the bike seat. She definitely hates getting her feet dirty. Wrapped up warm and dry, we were ready to tackle the final stretch. After another hour of riding, intense exhaustion completely washed over me. My eyelids felt so heavy I could barely keep them open, a toll from my sleepless night before the trip. I tried to stay focused on the road, taking deep breaths and shaking my head, but the fatigue was just overwhelming. Knowing it wasn't safe to keep going, I finally pulled over at a roadside hammock cafe. I ordered a cup of fresh sugarcane juice and climbed right onto a hammock. Honestly, it was the best sugarcane juice I've ever had. Sweet, rich, with a citrusy fragrance of kumquat peel that instantly woke me up. Holding the ice-cold glass of sugarcane juice in my hands felt so satisfying. I took a deep, long sip, letting the rich sweetness and the citrusy aroma of kumquat peel wash over my tired throat. It instantly refreshed my exhausted body, making me feel like I was slowly coming back to life. Since the air up here was getting quite chilly from the continuous rain, I brought the bag with Dalat inside right onto the hammock so we could cuddle up. We slept soundly for a whole hour. Resting here, knowing we had already covered more than 2/3 of the journey, filled my heart with so much warm comfort. Waking up from that deep nap, my stomach started rumbling. I opened a bag of snacks to quiet my hunger, and right away, Dalat's little nose began twitching. She clearly wanted some too, so I carefully broke off small pieces and fed her. Listening to her crunching happily on those crispy snacks with that tiny munch-munch sound was strangely satisfying. Seeing her eat with such joy made me smile. On a long, lonely journey like this, even the simplest bag of snacks tastes 100 times better when you have a sweet little friend to share every single bite with. Sitting on that hammock, chewing on crispy snacks while watching the soft rain outside, I felt a deep sense of warmth inside. In a world full of rush and worry, this simple, quiet moment was pure bliss. We hit the road again for another 100 kilometers. The weather today was so pleasant, no harsh sun, just a cool gray sky that made the ride feel amazing. By now, it was already 1 p.m., meaning we had been traveling since 4 in the morning. The road became quiet and empty, but the cold mountain wind started blowing really hard. Looking down, I saw little Dalat burying her tiny face right into my feet to block the chilly breeze. Ha ha! I pulled over by the roadside to stretch my sore body and let Dalat stretch her legs too. The wild flowers and green leaves along the road were unexpectedly beautiful. Standing there in the cool afternoon breeze, watching Dalat explore the grass, I took a deep breath. Traveling from early morning until now was exhausting, but moments like this made every single kilometer completely worth it. Just about 20 more kilometers left until we reached Dalat City. My heart was racing with excitement. After all the hours of riding through fog, rain, and winding passes since 4 in the morning, seeing that final distance marker felt like a dream. Even though the wind was freezing, holding my brave little companion so close made me feel warmer than ever. Dalat, here we come. Riding past vibrant green fields of scallions and crisp lettuce, I knew we were so close. Preparing to climb Pren Pass is always the ultimate sign that Dalat is right around the corner. Hee hee! The air turned distinctly cooler, carrying the sweet, earthy scent of fresh soil and pine needles. Looking at those neat, colorful vegetable patches stretching along the valley, all my fatigue from the long ride completely evaporated. Just one last winding pass through the majestic pine forest, and we'll officially step into the heart of the Dream City. As we climbed higher up Pren Pass, Endless pine hills appeared right before my eyes, stretching as far as I could see. And then, the signature cold air of Dalat suddenly rushed in, wrapping around my whole body and making me shiver. Riding through that vast green sea of trees, feeling the icy wind on my face, a wave of pure emotion washed over me. All the sleeplessness, the soreness, and the rain we pushed through over the last 9 hours vanished in an instant. Standing amidst the grand pine forest, listening to the wind whispering through the needles, I felt so small, yet incredibly free. We didn't just conquer a long road, we truly reached the place our hearts had been longing for. Feeling overly excited on the pass, I tried speeding up just a little bit to tease Dola and see her reaction. But when I looked down, oh my goodness, she was surprisingly calm and chill, not a single sign of panic. She just sat there comfortably, gazing at the pine trees, sniffing the cold mountain air, and completely enjoying the vibe like a true, cool dog. Looking at her living her best life on the seat, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Turns out, my little travel buddy is way braver and more chill than I ever imagined. Finally, we stepped into the heart of Dalat. As always, my very first stop was my favorite familiar eatery. By this time, I was completely exhausted and starving. My hands were literally shaking from hunger. The staff brought out a plate of bright, fresh beef alongside a steamed tripe portion, my two all-time favorite dishes. Placing those fresh beef slices onto the small charcoal stove and grilling them myself was so satisfying. Watching the meat sizzle over the glowing coals and smelling that delicious aroma felt like ultimate comfort. After a long journey since 4 in the morning, taking that first warm bite was pure magic. All my fatigue instantly melted away. When the beef was grilled to perfection, I wrapped a tender slice inside a piece of crisp, fresh lettuce, dipped it deep into fermented bean curd with spicy sauté, and took a big bite. Oh my goodness, the beef was so soft, rich, and naturally buttery. Following that with a cool sip of iced tea was absolute heaven. Sitting there in the cool Dalat air, enjoying every single magical flavor after an exhausting 9-hour ride, I felt purely rejuvenated. At that exact moment, all the cold, tiredness, and sore muscles completely vanished into thin air. Next came the steamed beef tripe with sweet onions, and oh my goodness, it was mind-blowingly delicious. I dipped a big piece deep into the savory ginger fish sauce. It was so fragrant, chewy, and packed with flavor, warming up my entire soul. And through it all, simple iced tea remains the #1 drink in my heart. Pairing this steaming, hearty food with a crisp, ice-cold glass of tea was sheer perfection. Sitting in the middle of chilly Dalat, eating my favorite comfort food after a long, grueling journey, I felt an overwhelming sense of warmth, fulfillment, and pure joy. Looking down at the table, the beef grill plate was spotless. The steamed tripe dish was completely empty, and even the dipping sauce was all gone. Haha! Feeling fully recharged, we popped into the shop right next door to buy 4 jars of Dalat's famous cheese yogurt. Our hotel was super convenient, just a quick 3 to 4 minute drive away. Riding through the cool city streets with a full stomach and sweet desserts in hand, a peaceful wave of relaxation washed over me. After a long, challenging road trip, we were finally about to step into our cozy home away from home. After checking into our cozy room, I went straight to the table to feed Dula the grilled beef I had saved for her earlier. Standing right next to the table, watching her gobble up those juicy pieces with her tail wagging furiously, was pure happiness. Then, it was time for dessert. I opened the famous Dalat cheese yogurt jars, creamy, rich, and so deliciously smooth. Standing there together by the table in the cool room, enjoying our sweet treats after a long 9-hour journey, my heart felt completely full. We had finally arrived, safe, happy, and surrounded by sweet peace. I brought Dula's favorite cushion from home and placed it right inside the empty nightstand slot. It fitted so perfectly. As soon as it was ready, Dula slid right in, curled up into a tight little ball, and fell fast asleep. Haha, it looked so cozy and warm. Seeing her sleeping so peacefully, I also laid down on the bed to rest and recharge. After a long 9-hour journey from 4 in the morning, having this quiet, warm moment together felt priceless. Rest up, my little friend, because this afternoon we're heading out to explore the magical beauty of Dalat.